Wiki Weekends as well.
There we go. This time it actually seems to have sent us live rather than
Yay!
us randomly just sitting here going like, I think it's working.
I think we're live.
I think we are. But yes, we are just, as always, in that moment of just suspension of like, I've pressed start streaming, but I haven't pressed go live on stream. And then when I press go live, it comes up like, and failed to broadcast. It's like, God damn it.
Is there like anything more like just as a summation of being a content creator than I think it's working? Is there like, because they often talk about how when you're a content creator, you never have any real job security. I don't even have the security that when I press a button that says go live, it goes live. I can't even have the confidence that that's going to work.
That's the thing. The one thing I want to get out of the way after last week's episode, because not only did Karl start where his microphone was blown out and mine was too quiet.
Yes.
Karl also started that, ironically, the one time he started the conversation is, well, what's the worst a mic has ever sounded on a podcast that you've listened to? And it was like, oh, the irony.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You fixed it.
Which, I fixed it in post, but while we're streaming, please, if me or Karl sound bad or we sound completely, different volumes or something, let us know now rather than letting me know like 20 minutes into the podcast where every single comment was like, Karl's mic is really shit. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah. Also, when we sound bad, don't just make fun of our voices or accents. We don't mean that.
We know that we don't have the best voices, but I mean, like, technically, volume. The things like blown out. Can people hear us okay? Do we sound smooth enough?
Again, we mean like in terms of the audio quality, not our voices.
Audio quality. But it's one of those things of like, I think I was streaming the other day. I think it was like Zelda, and I was like 2 hours into stream, and it was like, it is hard to hear you over the game. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, like, thank you for letting me know. But like, we could have had 2 hours of stream where you could hear me properly.
Yeah. So this really could have been avoided if so. It's like that thing, isn't it? Of like, it's the content creating equivalent of just so you know your flies down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I didn't want to say so I was embarrassed. It's like, it's more embarrassing for me to walk around with my dick out. Just tell me.
Yeah, and that is the thing, is like the response is always like, oh, I didn't really want to say anything because I didn't want to be rude. It's like, but it just means that I don't realize that everything sounds awful.
Exactly, yes. Well, Lucas, what are we doing besides moaning about my jobs?
Well, of course, everybody that is tuning in live, welcome to the Wiki Weekdays podcast, and I guess everyone just listening anyway. It doesn't change that.
Hello, you two.
Hello.
Like, if you're driving, clap your hands.
Let us know. Clap your hands. And the Wiki Weekdays podcast. We wind up a wiki, we take a deep dive, we keep swimming until we find something to talk about.
Yes, we do.
I'm your host for this week's episode, and my name is Lucas Holland, and it brings me a great pleasure to introduce the lovely Karl Smallwood.
I like how I'm always lovely. That's just what we've settled on. That's like the widget you've settled on for the filler word for when you introduce me.
It's just Karl's lovely. The thing is, every time I called you lovely to begin with, you kept saying how nice it is to be called lovely, so I just stuck with it because you seem to like it.
It's that thing, is that as a guy, you don't get many compliments, do you? Like, guys don't often get complimented, so it's, I'll take what I can get.
But yes, of course, we just on this podcast discuss a wiki that each of us have brought to the table each week, and we hope to find a fun discussion out of it, and then it is your job as listeners to decide which wiki won each week, which you can officially vote for by joining in our community Discord, the link to which you can find in the description below. But of course, you can always just scream at us in the comments and let us know which wiki was better anyway.
You just do it.
There's nothing stopping you doing that, but
yeah,
the official place to vote is in our Discord. And Karl, can you guess which wiki won last week?
What did we talk about again? Remind me.
So last week I brought Assassin's Creed, the original, and you brought your favourite Spartan quotes to the table.
I'm going to guess Assassin's Creed, because that's like a series that a lot of people have affinity for.
Well, it seems as though people have a split affinity for it, because Karl's Spartan quotes won over Assassin's Creed last week.
Oh yeah, go the Spartans.
So Karl did win last
Another
week.
win.
And hopefully I can bring something a bit better to the table this week to talk about. But currently we are streaming this episode live, so if you're here in the live chat, then please just leave a like at the moment to help more people find the show live. That does always help out while we're currently active. And any super chats made during the show, Karl and I will be sure to read them out before the end of the podcast so that you can get your comments read out loud. And if you're watching later on YouTube, just remember to give us the old like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Help us out on the analytics side.
You're so much better at this than I am, because normally I'm like, wait, Lucas, line.
This is why I've got a script, because otherwise I would be fucking screwed too. Remember that you can also find us on most podcast services by simply searching for the Wiki Weekdays podcast. If you're enjoying the show that way, feel free to give us a lovely review if you feel like we've earned it. You can also find both Karl and I in other places on the interwebs, but we'll talk more about that later.
Yes,
Karl,
I want to get into my wiki.
Bring us your wiki.
So my wiki for this week, we are on Wikipedia, you know, the daddy of all wikis, even though I think there was like another wiki before, which we'll probably cover if we ever do a Wiki Weekdays episode on Wikipedia, to be very meta. But the wiki I brought today, Lucas, is a list of individual and notable apes. Because if there's one thing I love, it's gorillas and apes. And I should clarify that there is two separate versions of this list. There's one that's a list of individual notable apes and list of individual notable monkeys.
Okay, because like the one fact that I think I've mentioned before that I do know about apes is that all apes are classified as great apes, apart from I believe one species of ape.
Gibbons, yes, the gibbon family. They're known as lesser apes. So it's not even like they're just apes; they're lesser apes.
Like there's no regular apes. There's all greater apes, and then there's one lesser ape, the gibbon.
Yeah, and it's like, what did gibbons do to earn that much scorn from just biologists and ape experts?
Oh dear, the poor gibbons.
It's just like, you just know the person studying who was like, you know, classifying them, just got shit on by one. It's like, that seems like a lesser ape to me.
It feels so targeted when it's just one species.
One, yeah. There's just one species. It's like, and they're the lesser apes. Like, what did they do? Would you have like a favourite kind of ape? Or, you know, monkey? I know, it's like, apes and monkeys are different things. Mm-hmm. The difference is monkeys have tails, apes don't. But to the layperson, they're basically the same thing. So do you have like a favourite monkey, ape, just or primate, I suppose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always just fascinated by like chimpanzees and gorillas, because a lot of those videos that you see of them being given like technology and working out with it, like just I think it was a chimpanzee where I saw a video of it being given a camera, and instead of like smashing the camera, it was trying to delicately like take it apart and figure it out, and
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's like I feel as though we often, you know, see ourselves as so highly ranked above other apes because, you know, I guess humans are also still classified as apes, right? And like,
I was going to mention, because the intro to this list is a list of non-human apes. Joe, for those like, because you know, there'd be that person that, well, technically humans are apes, so I'm going to put on fucking like Michael Caine on this list. And it's like, fuck off. That's like the people who'd be really pedantic about it. Non-human apes.
Right, okay, yeah. And that's the thing is, yeah, we non-human apes see ourselves as like the greater apes, but when you actually look at a lot of behaviors with, you know, chimpanzees and gorillas in captivity and stuff, like a lot of those videos that I've seen, like they are a lot closer to us than you think.
Yeah, and that's when you get that amazing shit post, isn't it? Of like, they say that, like, you know, a baby chimpanzee can like already cling from a tree by the time it's like 1 month old. And like our babies can't do anything, but we have higher brain function. And the response is stupid low tier shit babies can't do sick flips out of the womb like chimps can. And it's like, hell yeah.
It is true. In terms of like babies, our babies are so low tier.
They don't do anything. They're just like potatoes like that are pink and just sit there and scream.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the reason why, like, you know, because our babies are basically useless for so long. That's how we develop like higher brain function. But I've still brought a bit of, like sick flips and backflips and stuff. Would you have like a favorite kind of, you said like chimpanzees and gorillas? Well, how about like just, is there any like particular chimpanzee, gorilla, monkey, ape that you can think of that you classify as like, you know, notable or noteworthy?
I mean, obviously the joke's right there of Harambe.
Harambe, and never forget, just he's up there. And I do like that still to this day, every now and again when a famous person dies, they add them to the collage. And it's got like Harambe at the back of like, welcome to the afterlife, my brother. And it's just got all like the famous people who died. And Princess Diana's up there.
God. But yeah, like I can't think of many specific examples of like any times of apes that I can think of other than, as say, like the meme of Harambe. But
there's one, Lucas, because I remember it's one of the hardest you've ever laughed. Where I think it was a podcast, and just randomly you just started laughing at the end of it, and I was like, "What's up?" And you just went, "I just remembered the IKEA monkey," because that's what reminded me. Because I looked up the IKEA monkey to see that as a Wikipedia page, and that led me to the thing like list of notable monkeys.
That's the one in like the swag jacket, right?
Yeah, that was in the little IKEA. I just remember you absolutely losing your shit because you remembered that it was a thing.
And you know what? I forgot about it until now again. So every now and then,
remembered it again.
One of those things that I love to just remember of like this monkey and just this swag jacket.
It's more the fact the picture was so perfect because it's just like it's so tiny, this little shearling coat.
While you bring us through the wiki, I'm gonna try and find the swag IKEA monkey to put up for people in chat.
It's such a good image, right?
It is.
So we have here just the intro to the wiki entry of list of individual apes. So this is a list of non-human apes of encyclopedic interest. It includes individual chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, bonobos, and gibbons that are in some way famous or notable. And just there's several sections. There are actors, there are artists, there are science and exploration, and zoo notables, circus use, politicians, and pets.
Okay.
And each, like, some of the entries are longer than the other ones, but I think we just go down a couple of these and just discuss, because some of them are just, hey, here's a chimpanzee who's in a movie. And other ones have a bit more detail.
For everyone in chat, in between Karl and I, everyone watching on YouTube.
It's such a perfect image. Because, like, why is the...
like, yeah.
It's so ridiculously swag.
I like as well, it's just labelled as, like, Darwin IKEA monkey.
It looks so comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
That might be the most comfortable I've ever seen any creature. But we have a list of notable apes here, Lucas. So, actors. The first one mentioned is Bam Bam, an orangutan that played Precious on the soap opera Passions. And just remember when, like, you know, just back in, like, the 90s and before that, where they just didn't give a fuck. It's like, yeah, fuck it, we'll put, like, a orangutan or a chimpanzee on TV. And then they started ripping people's faces off, and they were like, oh shit, we should probably start doing that.
Obviously not as big a threat, but they had, for example, on Friends, they had Marcel the monkey.
Yeah. Do you know why he got fired as well?
Marcel got fired?
Yeah, he got fired because he kept throwing up on set. Oh, no. So they wrote the monkey out of the show. And it's like, that was a really famous monkey that's listed on the list of notable monkeys. Mm-hmm. Like, he was in a bunch of movies, like, he's the monkey in Outbreak.
What's Outbreak?
It's like the pandemic film that everyone rewatched during the pandemic.
Right.
And they have a joke about it in Friends where they say they're filming Outbreak 2 with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Marcel's there.
Oh, okay.
It's also the monkey in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's his pet monkey. It's basically just the same monkey.
God, I can't imagine, like... I presume Ace Ventura was in that weird thing where most of the time it was easier to still actually get animals on set than CGI them, because it was like in the 90s. Yeah. Must just have been a nightmare set, because it's always like never work with children or animals on set, and Ace Ventura is just...
It is one of like just the cardinal rules of being an entertainer. Do not work with children or animals. And we have to mention that just all those clips of animals on Blue Peter, like the one with the elephant, where they brought a baby elephant on set and it immediately shit and pissed itself and then ran through the stage. Because it's an elephant. What the fuck are you going to do? Stop an elephant?
Yeah.
Or when I think Blue Peter, I'm going to tell this story. It's one of those things where it shouldn't be as funny as it is. But it's one of those things, it just makes you laugh. And you feel bad for it. But Blue Peter, for any Americans watching, was, I think it still is, a TV show where it was like just a kid-centered news and entertainment show.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they did is, you remember Blue Peter? Like, you know, they'd have competitions and like it'd be like general interest, and education and how-tos and stuff like that. It's like
I remember a lot of the how-to stuff. I remember there was the dog on the show, and I remember the Blue Peter badges. They're the three main parts of Blue Peter. Remember.
And one of the famous things they had, as you mentioned, the Blue Peter dog. And the reason they had that is because a lot of kids watching the show came from quite deprived areas. And they thought, if we get a pet on the show, the kids at home can treat that like their pet.
Right, yeah. So for any
and we'll introduce
that, like, wants a dog but couldn't have one, you could think of it as their own shared pet.
Yeah. And they'd kids would write letters into the pet. And the first Blue Peter dog they got died the first week.
Oh.
And they had to replace it with another dog.
Oh,
because they thought, we can't introduce it and then next week say that it died. But like, the first Blue Peter dog they got just fucking died like 1 week later. They got a new one that looked like it and just pretended it never happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really hope that wasn't a case of having to immediately day one address, like, hey kids, that dog died. And I hope it wasn't like mistreatment on set. I hope it was just like,
I think it just got hit by a car or something. Well, speaking of mistreatment though, Lucas, the next notable ape actor is Buddha, an orangutan, played Clyde. So the Buddha was the name of the orangutan. He played Clyde in the Clint Eastwood action comedy film Any Which Way You Can. Buddha was allegedly beaten to death by his trainer for stealing donuts from craft services. The weapon was an axe handle wrapped in newspaper that was nicknamed the Buddha Club.
What
and again,
fuck?
I feel bad for laughing, but just something. One of the reasons why Wiki Weekends is an idea that we spun off into its own thing is just sometimes the very matter-of-fact way that Wikipedia articles are written is unintentionally funny. Just referring to the Buddha Club.
That's so brutal.
Yeah. But just the idea that it stole a donut.
Yeah, like a couple of shitty craft donuts.
Then we have Carly, born 1993, a chimpanzee starred in the live-action movie The Jungle Book and in the Turkish television series named after itself. It retired to Monkey World in Dorset in the UK. And I like the idea that animal actors just sometimes retire.
World in Dorset? I need to Google Monkey World. You keep going, I'm Googling Monkey World.
We have Eevee, short for Evolution. It played a robot dog in the original Battlestar Galactica television series. They just crammed a chimpanzee into a robot costume. There were no rules back then, right?
Like, you think that was a role for a dog, right?
No, just shove a chimp in there.
Jesus Christ.
And we have Joe Martin, an orangutan. He appeared in several silent-era American films. And just the idea is called Joe Martin.
I have double-checked, Carl. Monkey World is an ape rescue center, specifically. It's nice.
Kwanzaa, or Kwan, a gorilla, played Sydney in the romance movie Return to Me with Minnie Driver and David Duchovny. Currently resides at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago.
See, that's when I feel bad, because especially, the only exposure I've got to American zoos is very much, commercialized zoos where they sit in, small cages and stuff.
Yeah, so I only go to, there's a couple of zoos that have, that's the problem, because zoo is a very nebulous term, and it can mean, a place that's focused on conservation. Well, they'll have a tiger in there, but that tiger will be in the best enclosure they can give it, and its existence basically helps fund research and conservation efforts for other tigers in the wild. It's a necessary evil to help fund stuff like that. And then other ones are we just put a tiger in a concrete cage and poke it with sticks.
Yeah, because not far from myself is Chester Zoo, which is a massive conservation effort as well, and I don't feel quite so bad about going to Chester Zoo because all of them get bigger enclosures and there's a lot of efforts to stop certain creatures going extinct and stuff like that, and it feels a lot less nasty than just going to a place with a bunch of cages.
Yeah, and it's rough.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things always research the zoos that you go to make sure that they are accredited and do work with worthwhile charities and stuff like that.
Yeah, because speaking of I was gonna say I just hope that maybe a couple of people watched fucking Tiger King and realized not all zoos are ethical in any kind of fucking way.
The worst part about Tiger King is people watched it and went, "Man, I better get me a tiger." I was did you not watch the part where the tiger tried to eat him?
Multiple times. I mean, there was literally the person whose arm got eaten off, right?
Yeah. We have here, moving swiftly on, Peggy, a chimpanzee that played Bonzo in the 1951 movie comedy Bedtime for Bonzo, notable for co-starring future President Ronald Reagan. Because Ronald Reagan was an actor before he was the president.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and there's actually a line about it in Back to the Future, where in Back to the Future, where he goes back to the past, like they mention Ronald Reagan being the president, and they go, "Wait, what? The actor?" And apparently, Ronald Reagan was watching it in a theater, and he laughed so hard he made him rewind it to see the joke again.
I mean, I guess that's like one way to get popular with, mainstream America.
Yeah, be an
popular actor, yeah.
And then just introduce crack to inner city neighborhoods and downplay the AIDS epidemic. Fuck you, Ronald Reagan, burn in hell. Then we have Pierre of Vienna, Austria, an orangutan trained for motion picture work. Reportedly nursed a grudge against a trainer for a long time. When the opportunity arose, circa early 1922, they were alone together in a high tree. He strangled the trainer and threw his body to the ground.
Holy shit.
Orangutan. Do you know what? I'd watch that movie.
I mean, yeah.
The orangutan murder.
That's the thing, is I don't feel as bad when it's like the monkeys who are, essentially imprisoned for work, getting their revenge on the trainers. When it's like, when you hear stories of like the club where they just beat the monkey to death for stealing a donut, it's like, I don't feel quite bad when the monkey strangles someone and throws them out of the tree.
Well, it's like, it's Tiger King, isn't it? And he gets mauled by the tiger, and you're like, yeah, good, fuck you. Well, speaking of Tiger King, there's like, Joe, that show was so crazy. There was a detail that got completely lost in the sauce. Like Joe, when he talks about how like his enclosure burnt down, and he blamed it on like Carol Baskin, but then it's like it's probably insurance fraud.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Joe, one of the things that died in that fire was an alligator that belonged to Michael Jackson.
What?
And it's just, yeah, that's the thing. It's such a weirdly specific detail, but it got completely lost in like just the news cycle around that show. Because
like,
all the stuff was already so insane.
Another drop of like crazy wild information.
We're not getting a show out of that again. The fact that hit right at the start of the pandemic, so everyone was in.
I mean, it's just such a wild like shitstorm of perfect timing. Really like wild characters that were memeable. A really like interesting story with certain like questions still to be answered. Like, where did Carol's husband go and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, and as well, that's like, that is a topic for another day. It is on the list. The never-ending list.
Yes, of course.
And we have Sam, an orangutan, who played Dunstan in the 1995 movie Dunstan Checks In. Just the idea that, like, just in the 90s and 80s, they had all these weird buddy cop movies where famous actors embarrass themselves and just work with chimps.
And as well, like, it sounds like a lot of the time the chimps were, like, the title characters.
Yeah. Because... yeah, Ronald Reagan was second billing to a fucking chimpanzee.
Too right.
You have Travis, a chimpanzee who gained fame through parts he had in commercials for Old Navy and Coca-Cola, but he was shot by the police following an attack on a woman.
Shit.
Just like the Hollywood celebrities of yore. Just died in a shootout with... in my head, he had a gun as well. Do you know that, like, Hellboy, like, comic panel everyone singles out of, like, wait a minute, that monkey's got a gun. It's like, blah, 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 blah. Just in my head, it was like, just the monkey also had a gun.
And, when you talked about commercials then, there is a monkey that, well, two monkeys actually that came to mind. I don't know how much they were real or CG or whatever effects they used, but both the gorilla drumming for the Cadbury's advert. Yeah,
which is a guy in a costume.
Which I presumed was a guy in a costume because he's drumming,
yeah. There was rumours that it was Phil Collins as well, which cracked me up. People kept asking Phil Collins, like, are you that gorilla in that advert? And he's like, what the fuck's Cadbury's?
Oh, no, never. But the PG Tips chimpanzee before it became, like, the little monkey.
Yeah, the PG Tips, like, the fact that we just had a series of adverts with an ongoing storyline where it's chimps drinking tea.
Mm-hmm.
And no one found it weird. And it's like, why are these being used to advertise tea?
Yeah, I mean... I guess it makes it memorable, right? That's the point.
It did make it memorable. And that's like the last of the actors there. So we move on to artists. There's Congo, a chimpanzee abstract impressionist in the late 1950s. Thing is, can you imagine me saying what he was like a portrait painter or something like that?
When you got to artists, I was like, hang on, wait. Like I get like when one's abstract artist, but I can't wait until we get to like the photographer section.
Then we have Coco, a gorilla, widely believed to be able to communicate with humans through sign language. And there's like a lot of controversy around Coco because they say the gorillas and chimps and monkeys and stuff taught sign language. It's just an advanced form of begging because they never ask questions. They only use it to get things from you. So they think, do you like when you train a dog?
I was going to say,
sit?
yeah.
So is it communication or is it like an advanced form of begging?
Is it like, just a response mechanism rather than communication?
Although there are some like interesting things, like with Coco. They believe that Coco was capable of abstract thought because they asked Coco what happens when you die, and Coco signs something like go in home, sleep, long time,
right.
Dark.
It's like I don't know if you've seen. You're not obsessed with like watching dog stuff on TikTok and Instagram as I am, but
that's fair, yeah.
There's a dog where like I don't know if you've seen mine, like the little dog buttons that you can press.
Oh yeah, like you can say like walk,
yes,
food.
There's one dog that has done like over 100 buttons, and it's gotten to the point where it's started asking questions, like
you can make
in the mirror of like I think it might be called like Bunny, and it's like, why Bunny dog? Why Bunny not human? And it's like, oh no, it's like you start asking like existential questions. Of,
well, it's like,
no.
it's like that Onion article, isn't it? That shitpost article where they say we taught a gorilla how to understand the stock market and immediately hung itself. Oh, God. It's like we're giving these animals the ability to communicate and then by extension anxiety.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's looking like in the mirror and being like, why Bunny dog? Sad. It's like, no.
It's like there's another one. It's Alex the parrot. Because I think it's parrots are believed to be like the creature will probably be able to talk to at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like a repertoire of like 800 words. And the last thing it said to its trainer before they died is "Good night, I love you." And they came in the next day and it was dead. And then we have here Peter, alias Pierre Brasseur, who was a chimpanzee and the subject of a famous hoax through which chimpanzees' paintings were presented as the avant-garde artwork of a French artist, Pierre Brasseur. And it's one of those things where they did it to prove that a lot of like impressionist avant-garde art is just hoity-toity, smelling your own farts nonsense. Because when they told people these were like avant-garde paintings by this undiscovered French master, people fell over themselves to compliment them, with the exception of like one critic who said it looks like a chimpanzee smeared shit on the canvas, which is exactly what it was.
Yeah, and it's like, but as long as you present it in the right way, it's marketing, right?
Yeah, it's all marketing.
They
should have got like a monkey to advertise it. That monkey that shot that woman.
It's like, oh yeah, now that I'm out of jail, let's present my new. Like, I learned how to do abstract painting in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I've now presented my gallery work.
We have here Abang. This is in the section of science and exploration. Abang, born in 1966. So this orangutan is still alive. Taught to use and make use of stone tools. And there are like chimpanzees in the wild. They say, yeah, by all, interpretation of the definition, these have entered the Stone Age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're using stone tools, which is the definition of like, a civilization entering the Stone Age. Like some chimps are able to like, use tools and engage in warfare and stuff.
I can't remember. It was just on a random, I think probably an Attenborough documentary that I watched, but
it's always Attenborough, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always Attenborough. It's like just a monkey species that always use like tools to crack open food and stuff, and like they have their little cracking spot in the forest or jungle or whatever, and they'll grab whatever like the best rock they can find, go over, start like using that tool, and ostensibly, yeah, that is part of like working in the Stone Age.
Yeah, and we have here Bonnie, an orangutan, began whistling, mimicking an animal caretaker, which is changing ideas about primate sound repertoires. It's like just the idea that they're teaching this orangutan like to whistle and stuff.
And I will say, you said earlier that like he born in like 66 is still orangutan
still going, yeah,
66 still alive, and
yeah, they live for about 80 years, some of them.
Yeah, because like in my head, I'm like, well, they're not far off us, so they must have a similar lifespan. But I never think of an orangutan or a chimp or a gorilla or any kind of ape as like being in their fucking 60s or 70s.
Yeah, they routinely get to that age in captivity because just if they're in the wild and they got that old, like they don't have access to like medical care.
And also, I presume just like survival of the fittest.
Yeah. Speaking of like survival of the fittest, you have Cooper, a chimpanzee studied by Renato and Nicola Bender for swimming and diving behavior. So it's a chimpanzee that was able to swim, because that's something like gorillas aren't able to swim, and a lot of the apes. It's one of the few mammals that can't swim properly.
Yeah, I just
and they can, they just don't like it. They don't like it. And that's why you mentioned Attenborough earlier. You got this amazing footage that he got back in the 70s, I think. It was a chimpanzee carrying its young through the water, and it stands up on its hind legs and walks. And it's the first footage we had of an ape walking upright.
It's one of those things, right? Of like they're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
That's not their preferred posture.
We have here Coco, the gorilla involved with sign language research and ape net language, and it became a great ape ambassador, so an ambassador for the entire species. And there's like just a number of ones here mentioned, just various chimpanzees and apes that were involved with similar schemes and systems.
In what sense do they become ambassadors? Like, are they just at the UN? Like,
I think what they did with I think with like Coco and stuff, they had like a website, they had live stream and stuff. Obviously, just to encourage people to get involved.
Of course,
so, as an ambassador for the species and the ability of apes to communicate.
Yeah, and then we have here like just Godzilla being like a policeman in Tokyo.
And we have Titus, an extensively observed silverback mountain gorilla. I wonder why he's extensively researched. Why is he notable? Oh, it's just because basically he was observed by researchers pretty much his entire life. So they observed him from birth and just followed him around. So it's like, this is the most complete biography of an ape in the wild that we have. And then we have here zoo notables. This is the fun stuff. Alfred the gorilla, who we did a fact theme video on many, many years back. And he was a gorilla notable for having just a personality, which all great apes do. But his personality was so eclectic that he just earned the hearts of the people of London. People of Bristol.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And like some of the things that he'd do, he had an intense dislike of double-decker buses, men with beards, and planes. And if he ever saw a man wearing a hat, he'd throw his own shit at them.
Like, what did the men with beards do?
I don't know, just like they believe it's like, sometimes dogs don't like men because they were mistreated. It's one of those like maybe just some point in his past, man with a beard.
Yeah.
And I believe it's like with dogs and stuff, it's like sometimes they don't like beards because it's the inability to distinguish the face.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, sometimes dogs like hate hoods and stuff as well.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's just like one of those things of like if they can't read your face properly, and same with other dogs. Like if they find like a lot of the time flat-faced dogs get more aggression because the dogs find it harder to read, like say like a pug or something, like their expression harder to read.
We have Binti Jua, a gorilla living in Brookfield Zoo, notable for saving a boy who fell into the enclosure in 1996. And that was the gorilla that people pointed out of like, when the Harambe thing happened, sometimes gorillas will help people. But it's like, but we don't know if they will. Like a gorilla can rip a child apart if it's territorial.
That is the thing, right? With the whole Harambe situation. Like, obviously, we're going to talk about it, but
yeah,
like I get the reasoning why they would be scared, because if a gorilla decides to attack a child, that gorilla is going to kill it in seconds.
Yeah. But people kept pointing out, like, you didn't have to. Look, here's a gorilla, like, it helped a boy. It's like, but there's no telling if it would do that. It's a wild animal at the end of the day.
Like, any wild animal would attack a human that goes into its territory. Doesn't matter whether it's a gorilla or whether it's, like, a fucking wild dog. You don't know.
Well, speaking of which, Lucas, we have Bakito, who was a gorilla in the Blijdorp Zoo, which is in Rotterdam. On May 2007, escaped and injured a woman. I am aware of the story here where it's the lady felt like she had a connection to the ape.
Oh, no.
And she would go to his enclosure, like near enough every day, and stare in his eyes. And you don't do that to gorillas. But she thought she had a connection with the ape. And the ape...
every single day, that ape just saw it as like a challenger has approached.
Yeah. So what he did, he escaped multiple times, so he already knew how to get out. He jumped out, he attacked the lady, dragged her around for a few meters, and then went into a nearby restaurant and caused quite a panic there as well. It says here that she would visit an average of 4 times per week and had a habit of touching the glass that separated the public from the gorillas while making eye contact with Paquito and smiling at him, which is seen as being a sign of aggression and challenging to an ape. So she thought she was like, oh, look, every time I come in, he comes over to me. I've made a connection with the ape. It's like, no, he's pissed off because he thinks you're challenging his like authority. And you come in multiple times per week and basically mock him.
Like, you are staring him down, showing teeth. That in the animal kingdom are like 2 massive signs of aggression.
It's a challenge, yes.
And you're coming often enough where he's gonna fucking remember you as well.
Yeah, and he jumped out, attacked her, and went to a restaurant and just caused some havoc. We have Azalea, a chimpanzee living at the Korea Central Zoo, known for her ability to smoke cigarettes. So we taught him to get lung cancer.
As if putting him in a zoo wasn't bad enough.
Charlie, another chimpanzee in a South African zoo who was also taught to smoke and could walk upright. Kolo, the first gorilla to be born in captivity, living to be 60 years old, also becoming the oldest gorilla in captivity at the time of her death. She lived in the zoo her entire life. Similarly, we have here Fifi, the matriarch of the chimpanzees at Sydney's Taronga Zoo, who died in 2007 at the age of 60.
And I'm trying to think back. You were talking about, like, the gorilla getting out. And I don't know whether you remember any details, because obviously you've wrote a lot of stories over the years, but when we talked about the orangutan that kept escaping from one of the zoos.
I believe he's mentioned, yes, Ken Allen. He's coming up. Right. Ken Allen, he's noted on this list.
I was wondering whether they were noted on the list or not.
We'll get to Ken Allen very shortly, yes. We have here, there's Ivan, a gorilla who lived in a shopping mall in Tacoma, Washington, who was the inspiration for the film, and the one and only Ivan. And then Harambe, a gorilla shot dead who became a popular internet meme. See our Wiki Weekends entry on that back on Fact Fiend.
I'd pour one out, but at the same time, it's like just PC equipment all around me.
Yeah. We have here Joe Mendy II, a chimpanzee at the Detroit Zoo, became known as the greatest performing chimp of all time, able to do things such as tying shoes and responding to over 100 commands. Karen, born in 1992, a Sumatran orangutan, the first zoo animal to have open heart surgery.
I mean, I presume that was for a reason and hopefully not just scientific.
It's just that he had a heart condition, yes. Then we have Ken Allen, a Bornean orangutan known for his numerous escape attempts. And I've clicked his article just so we can talk about his various escape attempts. They are fucking hilarious. In 1985, during his 3 escapes on June 13th, July 29th, and August 13th, Ken Allen peacefully strolled around the zoo looking at other animals. So he just rolled around the zoo looking at other animals. Zookeepers were initially stumped over how Ken had managed to escape. They began surveillance of his enclosures to try and catch him in the act, only to find that he seemed to be aware that he was being watched. They were then forced to go undercover, posing as tourists to learn his escape routes, but the ape was not fooled, because he recognised them. Moreover, other orangutans began following Ken Allen's lead, also escaping from their enclosure.
Oh my god.
Zoo officials eventually hired experienced rock climbers to find every finger, toe, and foothold within the enclosure, spending up to $40,000 to eliminate all the identified holds. He escaped later that year. And it turns out that he learned to pick the lock to his cage and kept like a bobby pin in his mouth, like proper little escape artist.
Jesus. Knows exactly what they're doing.
Lucas, oh my god, Max, a gorilla in the Johannesburg Zoo who famously apprehended a criminal, getting shot twice in the process.
No!
Oh, wait, we're clicking that to figure out what the fuck happened.
Oh no!
So on July 18, 1997, police surprised Isaac Mofokeng while committing a crime at Saxon World next to the zoo. Trying to invade the police, he entered the zoo's ground in the enclosure where Max and his mate Lisa were being held. During the confrontation between Max and Mofokeng was seriously injured and Max was shot twice with a revolver, once in the chest and another in the neck. 3 pursuing police officers were also injured during the incident. Constable Robert was bitten by Max on his arm and buttocks. Max broke the arm of a sergeant and a constable broke his ankle. Mofokeng was eventually shot and wounded by the pursuing police.
So yeah, let's just bear in mind that when people say they think they could take down like a gorilla in a fight.
They shot it twice, and the gorilla did survive and lived on. He lived for another like 10 years.
So the gorilla took on 4 people at once, 3 of which had guns, got shot twice, and managed to, like, severely injure all 3 of the cops.
Yeah.
And survive the situation, and people are like, yeah, I think I might have a chance against a gorilla enough.
But that reminds me as well, like one of the funniest, like just article headlines and image combos, which is chill ass orangutan gets shot in the leg, doesn't even care. And it's like an orangutan that got shot by a poacher, and just the way it's posed, it's like proper like lying all the way back. I'll find the picture during the break and I'll send it to you because it's so chill.
It's always so funny though, because you always like those arguments. Always, yeah, but like I'd bring a weapon to the fight, and it's like, but that's not
like,
what
that guy had a gun.
And also, people have had guns on gorillas and like lost the fight, but like
they don't care. Yeah,
it's like in a hand-to-hand thing, and then they're like, oh no, but if I could just like jump on its back, it wouldn't know what to do. It's like it just throw you off its back, mate.
I'm just gonna send you it because you've never seen just a more chill orangutan. Like he's having, keep in mind, it's having surgery to remove a bullet from its leg, and this orangutan could not give less of a fuck. Look at it.
Don't worry, everyone. I will get this on screen.
Lucas,
soon.
How few fucks does that orangutan give? Is there a quantifiable amount of fucks being given there? I think not.
I'm gonna call it
no. We have here, Lucas, while you're doing that, we have Shabani, a male western lowland gorilla known for his incredibly photogenic and metrosexual appearance, as well as his talent for tightrope walking. Okay. So he's apparently very shy, and a lot of Japanese ladies go in to see how handsome he is. Because they just go in like, oh my god, is this the most like handsome gorilla in the world? And Lucas, you might think, well, he's just a gorilla, right? How handsome can this gorilla possibly be? I'm going to send you a picture of this gorilla. This is like, look at how hot this gorilla is. Why is this gorilla just giving like the fucking model pose?
That is an absolute model pose right there.
It is, isn't it? Lucas, you thought that was a model pose?
Oh, no.
You're not ready for this model pose. That looks like
that's a professional headshot right there.
It looks like a professional headshot, right?
Oh my god.
But he's notable for his like very photogenic appearance, and apparently people keep going to the zoo and scaring him because they want to take a picture with him.
Of course, yeah.
Look at this headshot of a
gorilla.
It's so good, right?
Like he knew what he was posing for right there.
Snowflake, the only albino lowland gorilla ever encountered.
Oh.
Then we have Circus Use, Gargantua, an acid-scarred gorilla captured in the wild.
Yeah,
and then
that just makes me feel sad. Oh no.
Yeah.
Don't want to know.
As politicians, there's a couple, Colossus the gorilla, a main attraction at Wild Animal Farm in Hudson, New Hampshire, who attempts to have Colossus put on the ballot in the 1980s New Hampshire Republican presidential primary. But the zoo tried to argue that the US Constitution does not specify that a native-born candidate has to be a human, just that they have to be over 40 years old.
It was just... I didn't expect politicians to be ahead of...
Just that thing as well, though. It's like, that's the airbud defense, right? There's no rule that says we can't do it, so we gonna. It's like, but fuck you.
Well, how many different towns and stuff have like been, given like a mayor position to like a dog or something?
Yeah, and I wrote an article about that years ago. Today I found out every single one of those cases, it's a ceremonial position of a dog. Like, we got a question from a fan of like, okay, so if you might make a cat your mayor, what happens? Like, does the cat have to go to town meetings? And it's like, no, because every time you hear about a dog or a cat going mayor, it's a ceremonial position where it's just like, in the end of Parks and Rec, where like Jerry becomes the mayor, and it's just like you just stand there and pose for photos.
Yeah,
like that. It's more normally done as like just to attract lure tourists in.
Exactly, and it's a good thing for that. And I do love the interviews of people of like, oh, so this dog's been mayor for like 10 years. What do you think about it? And it's, well, it's the best 10 years of the town. Everything's been run great.
Yep. And then last entry is Pets, which includes Bubbles, born in 1983, the infamous chimpanzee pet belonging to singer Michael Jackson from 1985 to 2005, appeared in several of his music videos, who Jackson raised from a baby to a pugnacious and strong adult. And here's the thing, Lucas, Bubbles the chimp is still alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's just still in a zoo. Yeah. Wild, right? And then there's just a couple of there's Scatter, a chimpanzee pet of singer Elvis Presley, but there's not really much more about it. And then there's that one chimp that ripped that lady's face off, which is just not a fun story, so we won't talk about that.
No, not really.
And that's the final entry, yeah, just Bubbles the chimpanzee. So do you consider that to be a list of notable individual apes, Lucas? That certainly was a list of notable individual apes. Non-human apes, yes.
And it was, yeah. And it makes me sad knowing that Bubbles isn't just living on a private island that Michael Jackson gave it in its inheritance.
I think when they took the chimp in, they did get a very sizable donation from the Jackson estate. Also, keep in mind, we've got Michael Jackson's pet chimp. You're gonna get footfall for the rest of that chimp's life. That chimp will be very well taken care of. That is a cash cow or cash chimp.
True, and this is something for you, Carl. We've got Lyndon Kendall giving £5 to chat here. Currently started pro wrestling. Go me. Would you be okay if I had the fight theme somewhere here? It will help me get through a lot of rough times. That's not up to me.
Contact me on social media. We'll discuss it.
Yes,
because I own that logo, but I do have to give permission. Because it's one of those things. It's you can't just have people using your shit. It's for that reason why I'd get a lot of requests of hey, can I just write that I work for your company on my CV for a joke? It's no, because if the fucking government gets a hold of that and says according to this, you've got a bunch of fucking employees that you're not paying tax on.
Yeah.
There
can actually be legal ramifications to jokes like that sometimes.
Well, yeah, it's something I found out recently because a friend of mine works in finance and I was talking about how I apply for a mortgage. And then, have I got a story for you? We had a guy who had his mortgage application denied because his mate, for a joke, when you send money to your friend, do you know that thing the classic one putting drugs? You always just put, what's it for drugs?
Oh, yes.
That gets people in trouble all the fucking time. But his mate had put on his child pornography.
Oh, no.
So he comes into the bank for a meeting of why have you blocked my account? Why is my mortgage not going through? And the police are waiting for him.
Oh.
And the problem is, because when it's an accusation like that, he had to hand over his phone and all his computers.
And that's
the thing,
even as a joke,
you have to take it seriously.
Have to take it seriously.
Because it's my friend who was yeah, I had to report him for that. Because you can tell it's a joke, and when he came in, he went, I'm going to fucking kill my friend who thinks he's funny doing this. But he's because I think his response was, would I be stupid enough to just write it on a traceable document?
And the answer is, some people are, I guess, or just that, well, that would be a very easy argument to get around it, is to make it so obvious that people think you wouldn't do it.
Nothing will ever beat the guy, this is a real story, who got caught with a bunch of naughty images on his computer. His excuse was his cat walked across his keyboard and downloaded 14 terabytes of pornography.
Yeah. Oh no.
And it's so we're going to take your cat to prison then?
It's the classic, oh no, I just tripped and fell and a light bulb fell up my ass.
Yeah, but the one for that is the worst bit is he's probably not got that on his computer and his phone, but no one wants someone to go through their phone where they find it, because there's going to be something on there you don't want people to see.
Even just something that's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah. But then again,
and generally speaking, just I've got nothing to hide, but I still don't like my privacy being thoroughly invaded.
Yeah, but that poor fucking guy. So yeah, don't do that.
Also, Lyndon said, would Instagram be okay, or would you?
Yes, message social media, that works for me.
Thank you for the chat. Appreciate it.
Well, yes, that's a list of notable individual apes, which I was excited about. When I just read that one of this guy beat an ape to death on the set of a movie with a dedicated ape beating club, I'm this is so weird and specific, it needs to be talked about.
For a fucking donut. Or a couple of donuts. That's the thing, again, just reiterate, when it's oh, the monkey dunked him off a tree, it's I don't feel sorry for these people.
It's going to be really hard to convict the ape as well. Where's that episode of CSI?
Because that's the thing, our laws are written for the human apes, not for the non.
There's nothing in our law that says that an ape can't go to prison for murder.
I mean, but there's not. Yeah, but that's the sad thing, isn't it? Is the real answer is they just get put down. But it's
yeah.
I would like to see how the prison system would work. Is instead of putting chimps down that committed crimes, we just put them in the prison system and see who ends up ruling the roost.
Yeah. Imagine the prison gang. Like, do you have like you have like the skinheads and the cartel and the Crips and the Bloods, but then in walks the gorilla.
It's like,
so do you know what? I would immediately join that prison gang.
Yeah, when they come in and it's like, oh, the classic thing they say in movies, or go up to the toughest guy and like punch them in the face, or stab him or something. Like, oh yeah, okay, just walk up to the gorilla and try and beat down this gorilla in the middle of prison.
Well, it's like one of my favorite like Brooklyn Nine-Nine jokes, where like Jake's in prison. Because not everyone in prison's like that bad. See, look at this nice gentleman here. Hello, sir. What can I do for you? He's like, I'm just standing near the fence in case you get too close. I can stab you. He's like, oh, okay.
Oh dear.
Imagine that. Send the gorilla to prison.
That might keep people more in line.
It will. I want as well. I want like that on the stand, like doing the sign language to defend itself. Like, I want the fucking Matlock motherfucker who's going to defend that ape on the stand.
Thank you, Karl, for your wiki entry for the week.
It was a fun one.
It was a fun one. I guess it's time to just like take a quick break because I'm at the toilet, and then just do some housekeeping and move on to what I have put in the thumbnail this week, which is Pokemon related.
Yes, in which case then I will go get myself another beverage.
So
I'll be back
just
shortly.
Put us on like my break screen for streaming for a couple of minutes, and
that works correct, yes.
Mute us up and stuff, yeah. So just bear with us. We'll just be back in like 2-3 minutes.
It's not bear with us, chimp with us.
Chimp with us. There we go. That's on mic for a second then, but we are back, and thank you for bearing with us, everybody.
For chimping with us, Lucas. Get right.
I'm sorry, Karl. I'm letting us down again.
You're letting us down on the chimp puns.
Back in the right windows and get back up.
Are we live?
We are. We're always live, Karl.
Okay.
Stop being live.
Well, Lucas, what housekeeping we got while I drink this protein shake?
Well, Karl, one reason that I'm talking about Pokemon-related things is because I just have been getting deep into a fan version of a Pokemon game that I won't mention because, let's all be cool on the internet and not like try and stream things and get Nintendo to notice them and take them down and shit. Like,
also don't be weirdly transphobic, because like the creator was weirdly transphobic.
Oh yeah, and then they stepped down because of all the shit they got and stuff, and it's like,
yeah. Why can't people just be fucking normal?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, this is a completely like free fan mod, and they're getting like no real monetary gains off them. Otherwise, they're gonna get sued to shit by Nintendo. So I'm just like, they're not gaining anything out of this, so I don't feel too bad. But they can go fuck themselves.
Yep.
But like, yeah, I don't really want to get into that because, again, I don't like bringing attention to like fan games and fan mods and emulation and all this shit, because guess what? That just encourages Nintendo's lawyers to find the fuck out and ban everything.
They will.
Yeah, exactly. They've done it over and over again, and people never seem to learn the lesson of like,
they never learn.
Be cool. Just enjoy it. Don't talk about it. Stop like putting it out everywhere.
So, hey man, just be cool.
But yes, I may or may not be, speaking of being cool and trying not to promote it too much, maybe, streaming on myself a little. But I think
we're going to stream more competitive Pokemon.
I'm trying to like do competitive Pokemon every other week, just to like, or maybe not every week. It might not be every other week specifically, but just not every single week, because I know that it's very in the weeds for most Pokemon.
It is, and I like that, but I did see like Joe, one of those videos where you look at it and go, okay, this could be interesting, and you click off after 30 seconds. It's like, can you be competitive with your favorite Pokemon? And the guy presented, it's like, look, a lot gets said about how unviable a lot of Pokemon are. I'm going to prove them wrong and get to like Master Ball rank with my favorite Pokemon. So what I did is I got my Pokemon and I got 5 legendaries backing it up. It's like, of course you're going to fucking win with that.
It's the classic thing that me and you have talked about of like, I've really been trying to make it so that my little charger bug can work in a team.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that you need to do is, you need to decide, I want to make a gimmick around this one Pokemon that's not great that I like, and then bring a bunch of other really meta shit to work around it so that they can support that one Pokemon that's your favorite.
Which is one of those things that really pissed me off, because like they were presenting it as like everyone's wrong for saying that you can't play with your favorites in Pokemon, and then like the answer to it is, well, you can, but you've still got to use the 5 Pokemon everybody else uses. It's like,
you can
that's
bring
proving the
one
point.
favorite along. Yeah. You can get away with 1 or 2, but you can't get away with an entire team of it.
Yeah.
Again, this is very deep in the weeds for a lot of people who just enjoy Pokemon on a more surface level. So,
which is what we're talking about today. No doubt.
That is what we are talking about today. And yeah, like as I say, I'm going to be streaming said fan game tomorrow over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Legend of Kanto. And I'll be doing that, around 10 o'clock, 10:30 UK time. And I feel not too bad about it because, I'm a person that hasn't even reached Twitch partner. When it's people with like thousands or dozens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers and viewers and stuff, I'm like, maybe not get this thing copyright struck into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe don't get it like just DMCA'd immediately, but like,
no, I said Nintendo knows. The Nintendo ninjas are already like, sneaking in.
That's the thing is like, we already saw them doing the shit out of a Switch emulator recently. It's like, maybe if you all didn't have servers everywhere talking about and like posting everywhere constantly about, here's all of the sites that I used to download my illegal ROMs and shit, maybe this kind of stuff could like slide under the radar a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, people can't help themselves, of course.
They can't, no. They have to. Like, what's the point in doing it if people can't see me doing it? It's like that guy who he got arrested like this morning, and he was like anonymous online, and all he would do is just speed in his car and film himself speeding in his car, and for some reason the police got him.
I wonder how they ever caught him, Carl.
Yeah, it's like, that's the thing. You can go do it, just don't film yourself doing it.
You're literally providing them evidence of your crimes.
Like, wow, like The Simpsons never misses. Filming this crime spree is the greatest idea we've ever had.
Yeah, you can also find Carl and I enjoying Mass Effect over on my Twitch on Mondays for the time being. We're playing Mass Effect 3 and its DLCs on the Legendary Edition. And then you can also find me playing through Zelda games on days, doing Unique Tuesdays. And Carl, for yourself, is there any other housekeeping to bring up?
Well, every Friday I play this little known game called Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance over on Twitch, twitch.tv/CarlsWood. He gets links in the Discord, so you can go, like, if you follow the Discord, you'll see the announcement on Friday, whenever the hell I feel like going live. Besides that, that's the only thing I've got to plug. It's the only thing I do besides this.
And it's very funny because you talk about like, oh, this little known game, and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is popular within like a very core community, but it is very funny because you are essentially like the most dedicated and probably the biggest creator that is still committed to like streaming and playing that game, right?
There's a few like artists I keep meaning to reach out to. I'm gonna do once I've like got my house stuff sorted and I've got like some. I know if I've got any walking around money left, I want to contact those artists because they're like, they do like a lot of fan art of like Metal Gear and so I want to reach out to them. So I get some stuff done for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yes, go and just before we go into the talk about a specific wiki entry on Pokemon, Dark Titan in chat just saying like whenever they play a new Pokemon game, there's only new monsters exclusively, and it's like that's one thing that kind of made me stop being bored of Pokemon. Is like I decided when Generation 6 came around, so Pokemon X and Y, I was like, I'm not going to watch any trailers anymore. Saw what the 3 new starters were, and then I just didn't watch anything else.
Yep.
And then I didn't, find out any of the Pokemon. I just went into the game pretty much blind and decided I'm only going to use monsters that like I've never used before. And I've done that ever since because it just keeps the game way more fresh and exciting. And I think a lot of people who like Pokemon and play every game probably benefit from trying to hold themselves back a little bit and try it that way, because I would say it's kind of brought back the joy of playing new Pokemon games for me. Yeah,
it's the key to enjoying something is not learning everything about it before it exists. It's like when it was like a new Marvel movie released. I, like yourself, I go out of my way to look at as little to do with it as possible, so I'll be surprised. And the internet cannot fucking help itself. Like that Wolverine Deadpool movie. I know everything about that movie, despite actively avoiding every detail I can about it, because people cannot fucking help themselves.
And that's the thing is, with us being online content creators and people asking us stuff about it, like, naturally I watched that Deadpool Wolverine trailer, but then I left it there, watched it once, and just left it alone. But then you'll get people who watch 50 different breakdown and theory videos online before they watch the movie, and then either get disappointed because the theories weren't all right, or like work themselves up into this tizzy of like, oh man, there's so many references in the trailer, it's going to be like 1,000 more in the actual movie. It's like, or they're showing off the exciting bits in the trailer.
The worst part is it's like the cinema syndication. Sorry, I've got my nose blocks a little. The cinema syndication of like content watching, where people they rush to nitpick. And there's an example of it going around the other day. It's like the end of the Suicide Squad movie, the James Gunn one, where it's Peacekeeper holding Ratcatcher at gunpoint. So it's like, well, why did like Peacekeeper sit there for like a minute not shooting this character so an action scene can happen? And everyone's just dunking on them of like, maybe it's because Peacekeeper doesn't want to shoot a fucking child. But also like the thing of like, yeah, all movies should just be a list of things that happen in order, and all characters should act 100% logically in all situations.
Yeah, no one should just do it for like the plot.
Also, like, no one should act in a way that's not like entirely born out of logic. There should never be any emotion played into any scene.
The thing is, right? Like, I know that ultimately in that movie, like, they take that turn, but at the end of the day, they've spent time as a squad bonding together over an entire like quite long mission.
It's
it makes
almost
sense
like
that they wouldn't like execute them immediately with no thought.
There'd be some hesitation there, yeah. But Lucas, why doesn't he act in 100% logically at all times?
And you even see it in the previous scene of like, I don't want to have a fight with you, other character.
I respect you too much.
I respect you, and I don't want to like have this fight. Let me just do my job.
But Lucas, no, he should act 100% logically at all times. Like, you know, like the people who make those comments, who are always 100% logical and rational about everything, as they scream about comic book movies for children online for 90% of their day.
Anyway, for anyone wondering, the wiki that I have brought this week is just an overview of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire.
So which ones are those?
So that is Generation 3, which I brought to the table because I know that we both have a lot of nostalgia for Generation 3, the Hoenn generation.
That is true. I'm a hoe for Hoenn.
Like, yeah, we know a lot about this so that we can talk more about like this generation of Pokemon without delving too far into the wiki, whereas other ones were a bit less familiar with. Like Gen 4, I think, was when we were both getting to teenagers and probably dropped off a little bit.
Is it where they refine the Pokemon format?
Not 100%, because you know what I'll always say of like...
I know what you're going to bring up, yes, but like, in terms of like the look of it, the gameplay, and the core loop, is that like where they perfected it for you, and everything after that was them just trying to capture that again?
I think Generation 3 was them like putting their foot down of like, this is well-polished, figured-out Pokemon game.
Yeah, this is what Pokemon is.
And from that point forward, it's been iterative improvements and also steps back. There's a lot of problems
not so much
with
steps
Pokemon.
Back, yeah.
There always has been, and there seemingly always will be.
It's Game Freak repeatedly slamming its dick in a car door. Let's be real.
And every single generation, it's like, cool. Like, for example, Scarlet and Violet, of like, excellent. We get to go and do the gyms in whatever order we want. It's like fully open world. They've got actual quest lines with actually decent story payoff. Not too bad for a Pokemon game. And, you know, it's like got an interesting Pokedex, a bit hit or miss, but like a lot of interesting ideas in there at least. And then you've also got so many things of just like the technical performance holding the game back.
It runs like shit. It's not balanced in any way. Competitively, it's a mess.
It's just all over the place. But yeah, you get like such up and downs and such quality of life removals as well as additions. Like for example, TMs not be infinitely usable anymore is like a thing for the new games that Carl and I get very frustrated about. Of like, it always feels like it's a combination of like either 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or maybe just sometimes it's like 1 step forward and 3 steps back, depending on which game.
I say it's not stepping back; it's like putting the dick in the car door and slamming it repeatedly. I feel like calling it a step backwards is just not at all indicative of how much worse some of the decisions are.
But like, it's a literal step backwards with the case of the TMs.
Yeah.
Of like Generation 6, they made TMs not one-time use items. That just when you unlock it and can teach that to Pokemon so they can learn new moves all the time. And then in the latest games, they've just gone, no, fuck it, you need to go grind materials like it's fucking Monster Hunter.
It's like, yeah, this was a solved issue, thinking Ruben did. Yeah. Yeah, tell me more about Omega Ruby and Sapphire, or Ruby and Sapphire.
Well, there is Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire version, and of course, we can also talk about the fact that there is Pokemon Emerald, and then there is the remakes Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, which I said the wrong way round then. But yes, the Pokemon Ruby version and Pokemon Sapphire version are 2002 role-playing video games developed by Game Freak and published by the Pokemon Company and Nintendo for the Game Boy Advance. And 22 years.
That's a long time. Still hold up, though. The sprites will never not hold up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I love the way that Gen 3 looks in terms of sprites. Like, Gen 3, 4, and 5 look so good compared to like going into the 3D model version of Pokemon.
Still holds up, yeah.
And
we talked about, isn't it? Like a lot of those sprites, the reason they look so good compared to the 3D models is because the sprite is from the ideal angle. Like it's like the key pose of the Pokemon. That's why some Pokemon look really weird in 3D because they were literally never intended to be seen from certain angles. And the comparison I use, like The Simpsons, when you play those like 3D Simpsons games, and like Lisa Simpsons looks fucking weird because her hairstyle does not translate to 3D because it was never meant to. Or like all those Dragon Ball games where they make them 3D and Goku's hair just does not make sense.
Yes, because it was
never meant to be in 3D
from a specific angle or two.
Yeah.
And every Pokemon for the first like 5 generations were designed with a front sprite pose and a back sprite pose in mind, and sometimes even the back sprite pose doesn't exactly look very good. A lot of the time,
they weren't.
The front of the Pokemon is what it's meant to be. And yeah, it's one of those things of like, it's frustrating though because the newer games, obviously there's 1,030 Pokemon or something near that at this point.
Quite a few, yeah.
Like, it's just one of those annoying things of, okay, yeah, I get why a lot of them are just T-posing or A-posing and stood still and like stuff like that, but even Pokemon in 3D, you look at like Pokemon Stadium 2, and they are all like actually well animated. And again, I get that that's because there was a quarter of the amount of Pokemon to work on, but that was a fucking N64 game.
And people still talk about those games, like the Honchkrow animation. It's like the god tier animation, and when it dies, it tips its hat.
Yeah, yeah. Another great
because I'm moving its spoons around with his mind.
Yeah, and when Golbat in Pokemon Stadium dies, and he just like flounders around, flapping its wings as it goes down.
Pulls his wing up like a vampire, yeah.
And yeah, I think it isn't all to blame on the fact that it's just 3D that it looks bad. Because not all those Pokemon looked bad in like Pokemon Stadium or Coliseum or Battle Frontier or whatever it's called on them.
Yeah, I think like the Simpsons example is a good one of like, there's probably a good way to do 3D, but most of the time it's like it just looks weird and off.
And people can bring up the anime, but the anime is still drawn from a 2D perspective, and they can like key pose them in the correct ways. It's not like 3D, and like nowadays some of it is. Back in the day, the anime still drawn different perfect poses of the Pokemon.
Yeah, you never have like a moment like in Pokemon, like the newer ones, where the Pokemon like rotates on the spot. I always think like the ending of like Sword and Shield, where like Zamazenta just like rotates on the spot because it didn't have an animation to turn around.
Oh yeah,
because in regular gameplay it doesn't turn around, but it needed to for that scene. It's like I remember it's something like that was speaking of 2D. That was South Park. Where with South Park, they got like 6 seasons in, And they were like, okay, this scene calls for Chef to walk backwards. Has Chef ever turned around? And they realized that Chef had never turned around in any episode. So they didn't have the paper cut out of Chef from behind. And South Park, people don't know, is like made in a week. Like, we can't make it in a week. We need him to walk backwards in this scene. So what they did is they started a running joke of Chef walks backwards. So when he leaves the scene, he doesn't turn around, he walks backwards. And if you go watch early South Park, you'll notice that Chef is never seen from behind. He's only ever seen from the front.
Yeah, it's always just interesting with weird little things like that. Yeah, you would think with South Park, it's like, make a cut out of Chef from behind then. Like, but they didn't have time because they're on such a tight production schedule with South Park.
Also, yes, after the first episode is the only one made with construction paper. After that, it's made with Maya, I believe, which is the same thing they used to make Frozen. And they use Maya to digitally render paper.
Right.
And apparently the animators who work on South Park fucking hate it because when you get brought in, your natural inclination is to make it smoother. And Matt and Trey walk in and say, no, make it look shit. Make it look janky like it's been moved by hand. But we don't have to do it. It's like, we know, but that gives it the look of the paper animation.
Yes. And they did a really good job of translating that in the those like stuff that help make them the RPG ones, like
Stick of Truth,
and the Fractured Butthole. And those two games, they specifically built like an engine similar to how they animate the TV show. So again, that they could actually pull off having these like digital little paper cutouts that they animate like it was the show.
Yeah. It's essentially how South Park works. Yeah, it's like they have digital paper cutouts that they maneuver as if they were doing it by hand, but it's just a lot quicker.
Of course, yeah. It's quicker than actually doing it like stop motion work.
Yeah.
But yes, the Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, coming back to them, Carl, they are the first installment.
Yes, tell me more about Ruby and Sapphire.
They are the first installment in the third generation of the Pokemon video game series, also known as the Advanced Generation. Because, yeah, we got the Game Boy Advance lasted like, what, 3 and something years? It literally
still
came
Nintendo's
out, like,
best console.
It came out in 2001, and the DS was out by 2004, and yeah, the Game Boy Advance
piece of kit.
It has so many good games considering it was out for like 3 fucking years.
And the best thing about the Advance as well is when like the Ruby and Sapphire, the blue and red cartridges, they look so good.
I always loved the Emerald one.
Yeah, I miss like console games having like unique looks to the disc. Like, you remember where we looked at like there's that Donkey Kong one where the disc is shaped like Donkey Kong's head and stuff like that.
Oh, because wasn't that like a PC like
CD-ROM?
Yeah. And
I miss when they do stuff like that, or like steelbook cases, so which aren't really a thing anymore because like physical media is not really.
I mean, like for example, the Pokemon games. I think I've got like definitely got steelbooks for Sword Shield and the Legends Arceus game. I can't remember whether we ended up getting a steelbook with Scarlet or Violet, but they definitely still do them with Pokemon, which is nice. The cartridges themselves don't look different, but the cartridges are like these tiny little things for the Switch. It's like,
and they go inside the console, so you're never going to see it anyway. But I always like that when you could tell when someone was playing Pokemon, you should see like the like all the way back to like red, blue, and green. And
yeah, because like I think they did it with red and green originally in Japan.
The cartridges were red and green, yeah.
But yeah, like even in Gen 1, yeah, we got red, blue, yellow, and then gold and silver, and it always weirded me out with Pokemon Stadium 2. Because for the longest time, the N64 cartridges are always grey, right? And there's a couple of exceptions, one being Pokemon Stadium 2, where the back half of it was like gold and sparkly. And I was like, that's really weird, because like, why is just the back half gold? And it took me so long to realise that grey was meant to be a sparkly silver, but because every other grey cartridge, like every other N64 cartridge is grey, I just thought that they only half-arsed it and made the back gold and kept the grey at the front.
Yeah.
Like, the gold and silver translation really didn't work for that cartridge.
It's not always a winner, is it? But I do miss when they, like, at least have fun with stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or, like, the DK stuff where it's like, the DK64 cartridge and controller and console that were all like bright fucking yellow.
I just miss when when Resident Evil 4 came out and they're like, oh, just the chainsaw controller. Like, start making, but I guess they couldn't do that these days because the controller would cost a fucking fortune. But I miss tie-in controller launchers, and they've never topped the Gears of War one. Like the red Gears of War controller has never been topped.
Are you saying that you think that the red Gears of War, just Xbox 360 controller, is better than the chainsaw controller?
I think in terms of looks, aesthetics.
You're a madman. I think in terms of playability, yeah. That thing would be probably horrible to play a game on, but...
The chainsaw controller is hilarious, though, because the fact they made it, and it's like, I still want one. One day I will get one.
That's the thing. What we need to do, Carl, is we need to set up like a fundraiser, but instead of it being for charity, it's just to raise money so we can both buy a chainsaw controller.
No, I'd want the GameCube controller that has the keyboard in it.
Oh,
that's the one I'd want. That's the one that I've been after for years. I want one of those.
No, chainsaw one's definitely at the top of my list.
Just so I can play Smash Bros with it and just like type in chat like get wrecked.
But I'm just like, skipping past the whole like when they came out and that. Obviously we had remakes of the two games titled Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They were released worldwide in November 2014, exactly 12 years to the date of the original Ruby and Sapphire release date, with the exception of Europe, where it released. And
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that just sometimes, like, different regions of the world, like, no, fuck you, because for rights issues, you can't have this.
Because that's very weird, because Generation 6, X and Y, they made a big deal of it launching worldwide on the same date for the first time, and then immediately, the remakes that came out a couple of years later, it's like, no, Europe can have it a week later.
It just pisses me off so much. I know sometimes it's just like, okay, it's more to do with they can't get it shipped out that far away that quickly, but it still pisses me off when, like, different regions get it earlier.
Yes. And we'll go down to new features. So this is new features compared to, like, the previous generations of Pokemon. And can you guess, Carl, what the most prominent change in battle mechanics that they list here first?
Generation 3. Is it that sprites moved?
No, that wasn't until Gen 4, I believe. No, sorry, Gen 4 they did like stretch and squatch and stuff. But like Bristol was the first time the sprites were animated.
What's the big battle change then they're touting here on good old Wikipedia?
Well, there's one of two things, and the one that they list here is the introduction of double battles.
Oh yeah, it still annoys me to an extent that the official Pokemon battle thing, like when you go to tournaments that are officially sanctioned by Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, it's all doubles.
Yeah, so the VGC, the video game championships, are all in like a doubles format, and have been exclusively for the longest time.
But they've never had it as a system in the game that is anything more than a gimmick. Like, there's never more than a handful of double battles in the entire game, even though it is the single sanctioned.
It is the official tournament format, and the game basically barely teaches you how to play it, because go and play like the Battle Frontier and Pokemon Emerald, I guess.
But it's like, how are you ever supposed to learn?
Yeah.
Because like you could say, you just go on YouTube and watch YouTube videos teaching you, but imagine for a second you're just a kid who wants to get into competitive battling. How are you actually supposed to learn to do it? Like, what resources exist within game to teach you anything about it? And they don't. They simply do not exist.
Especially back in Generation 3, where just you couldn't even go online and do battles with people. It was just, I guess there's like a few battles. That was it.
Yep.
There's a few double battles throughout the game, and there was also multi-battles were added alongside it, which are double battles, but there's 2 trainers on each side. So there's 4 trainers all controlling one Pokemon, but it's still 2v2.
And then in like later gens as well, like they just took out like the battle towers. You can't go fucking practice.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest frustrations for the especially the newest games, is like over time they've gotten worse and worse. Like it's gone from like a full Battle Frontier in like Emerald, and then in like Gen 6 and 7, there was like a pretty decent like battle maze on and battle tree and stuff like that.
Where they cheat.
Where
they cheat so much, Lucas. They cheat so hard in that battle tower.
And then like the battle tower was even worse in Sword and Shield, and then Scarlet and Violet, go fuck yourself. You don't even get to train against AI at any point.
Like play online.
Play online against people who already know what they're doing. So how do you get into it?
It'd be like taking practice mode out of a fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
So how am I supposed to learn? Like, where there's no like just sterile environment for me to go in and learn the game's mechanics.
Yes.
But it's the official rule format, and they offer no resources to teach people how to use it. And this is the single most profitable brand on planet Earth.
Yep, exactly. But they stay the most profitable media franchise of all time by like bought shit out, Carl. They can't spend an extra year developing those games. They've got to stick to that timeline. Make that money.
Make that fucking paper.
But one thing as
which
well,
has like
Carl,
Pokemon printed on it.
Or two things, sorry, actually that they added. Forgot about the fact that not only did they introduce abilities in this game, they also introduced natures to your Pokemon.
Oh, so they're like things that just like add. They make your Pokemon more unique.
So natures are something. There's like 16 natures in the game. Basically, some of the natures can be neutral. Like I think, like for example, serious. If you've got a Pokemon that says it's serious, its stats are neutral. But if you've got one, say for example, that is adamant, that means it gets a bonus to physical attacking moves, but it gets like lowered stats when it comes to its special attacking.
Yeah, and there's only like 6 of the natures that are probably worthwhile because you want to emphasize a particular stat, which I always found funny because it just means that.
Lot, and that's like part of the RNG is that a lot of them are there to kind of be like less useful, I guess, because like then otherwise everyone would be getting the useful natures all the time on all the Pokemon.
Yeah, I do like though when you get a Pokemon, it's like, ooh, your Pokemon is sassy, and not on Route 6. It's like, what's a sassy Pikachu like?
And I always
would that be Ash's Pikachu?
I always wish that, like the anime, their personalities were like actually implemented in the game a bit more. Like if you actually,
I always thought, I always got confused that natures never became more of a gameplay thing. Of like a sassy Pokemon is more likely to use like taunt or something like that.
What does it mean that my Pokemon's naughty? Does that mean it like doesn't listen to me sometimes, or like uses the wrong move or something? Is it no? It means that its attack stat is lower or some shit. Like But, oh, right, okay. That's a bit less exciting, but... And then abilities, obviously, are a massive thing in Pokemon.
Yeah, what's your favourite Pokemon ability? Because mine's like Truant, where does every other turn the Pokemon's like, nah, fuck this. I was like the idea that just your Pokemon like, fuck this.
I mean, obviously, I think the most interesting ability in the entire game is still Wonder Guard, which is on your favourite
Shedinja, baby.
Carl's favourite Pokemon, Shedinja.
The Cicada Pokemon.
And basically the idea of Wonder Guard is that Shedinja is a husk of a Pokemon. So, you know, the husk left over of evolution from Nincada to Ninjask. And it leaves its little shell left over, and it's a ghost type. And that ghost has 1 HP, but it can only be hurt by things that are effective against it because of Wonder Guard.
It's just so interesting, an ability.
And then my favorite thing is like back in the day when they decided that you could do things like swap ability of Wonder Guard onto another Pokemon, like Sableye that had no weaknesses.
And it's like, now this Pokemon's invincible. Get wrecked.
Eventually they were like, okay, that's stupid. We're going to make sure that ability only works on Shedinja, but it was always fun.
It was always fun to do that, yes. There's also like just a couple of classic ones as well. I just do like Truant's a good one, just because like it's what they get like slacking, wasn't it? Where it just takes the turn off.
Mm-hmm.
So every other turn, it's like, nah, man, not about that. And that's where you get my favorite just line in Pokemon, where your Pokemon relax. It's like your Charizard is loafing around.
Oh yeah,
so I like the idea of just loafing around.
It's always great to call slacking as a nickname some kind of bread.
Yeah.
So you can just be like, oh, bread is loafing around. Like,
Forget.
Yeah. And yeah, abilities were just like a massive, massive change in
a game changer, yeah.
Completely
literal game changer in every sense of the word.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that makes it really hard for me to go back to is that they made all these improvements, but the biggest problem with the first 3 generations of games is that
it's the special split, right?
Yeah, they didn't split the moves between physical and special yet, which they did in Gen 4.
Yeah, so the way it would work is like physical moves are like, you think Body Slam is a physical move, and it goes off your Pokemon's physical attack stat. Fire Blast or Flamethrower is a special move, so it goes off your Pokemon's special stat. But they just had it so like every fire move is a special move, which means that a move like Fire Punch, which you think would be a physical move, is actually based on your special stat. But they gave it to attacking Pokemon. Like Hitmonchan has a very good attack, terrible special attack. He can learn Fire Punch, but Fire Punch does no damage because it's not technically a physical move, so it goes off the wrong stat.
Yeah, so it for example, gives Hitmonchan, again, a punching Pokemon with good physical attack and bad special attack. It has, like, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, and they're all pretty terrible.
They don't do anything.
Because they use the wrong stat for that Pokemon. And same with Fire Pokemon. Good examples are Flareon and Arcanine.
Which have very good physical attack, yeah?
Yeah, they had really good physical attack. But what are the moves that you want a Fire Pokemon using? Fire-type moves.
You want Fire-type moves, yeah. Like, and you think, oh, like something like Flare Blitz, where you like crash into the opponent's Pokemon. Sure, that goes off your attack stat, right? It's like no special attack. It's like, what?
And obviously, I think Flare Blitz is like a later move that was only introduced when that was split up. But yeah, it really makes the games make no sense after that change was made. So I find going back to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald very difficult now.
It's very counterintuitive, yes.
It extremely is, and it makes entire Pokemon and some people's favourite Pokemon, like one of my favourites, Arcanine, doesn't really make much sense to use.
It's basically useless, yeah. It's like Flareon's highest attack is its highest stat is its attack, and it can't use it.
Not very well, no. Because most of the moves it's learning and should be gearing towards are all for some reason using the wrong stat that's much lower.
But it was very funny because it made some Pokemon broken OP, like Alakazam. Like Alakazam was fucking broken OP because you could teach it Fire Punch, which went off its massive special attack. And I always in my head thought, just Alakazam punching you, but use its psychic power to infuse its punches. I always like the idea of just a punching Alakazam. It's like, you know what? I don't need to think about this. It's going to sock you on the fucking jaw.
Some of my favourite ones as well are when it is like, oh, Ghastly learns how to use Fire Punch or something like that. It's like, Ghastly's a ball of gas. It hasn't got arms to punch with.
That thing is, though, that would surprise you.
It would. Really
I wouldn't see that coming.
Like when Ghastly sucker punches you with its lack of fists. Like,
yeah,
that's a real fucking sucker punch.
I know someone's going to say sucker punch is a mistranslation. It's actually a more direct translation would be sneak attack.
Yes. Yeah. But like, when it's not really a mistranslation when it's, for example, Fire Punch, and you see the sprite of the fist
icon
hit the Pokemon. It's like, no, that's definitely meant to be a punch.
Yeah.
And there's just certain funny ones like that where you just learn that there's certain Pokemon without arms that learn punching moves, or without legs that learn kick moves.
Kicking moves, yeah.
Like,
also, sometimes they messed it up in the animations, like in Sword and Shield, when Bulbasaur uses Tackle, it uses its vines. When it uses Vine Whip, it uses the Tackle animation. It's like, you couldn't really...
It doesn't use its vines for Vine Whip, really?
And it's like literally Pokemon number 1.
Yeah.
So you messed it up with the first Pokemon.
Oh, well,
it's like when you're going through the list of first Pokemon, it's that one. Oh, if you're going alphabetically, it's only like 12 down.
Fucking Victini decided it was Pokemon number 0, though, Karl, so fuck yourself.
Victini can eat my ass with a spoon.
I think Victini's
number 1 in our hearts.
I think it's number 0 in, like, the Generation 5 decks. I think if you look at the national decks, it's still just Bulbasaur.
It still annoys me that Mewtwo is before Mew.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, it goes, what is it? It goes Mewtwo, then Mew. It should go the other way around.
The balls, though, of Pokemon to initially have the idea to release a game with Mewtwo and never Mew.
Yeah.
Mew, for people are probably aware at this point that Mew was never intended to be in the first game originally.
Yeah, it's an industry rumor now, isn't it? Where every time you say this story, someone tells you it's not true. But when you go look up and it's like, even the people who worked on it, like, we don't actually remember if it was supposed to be in the game or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just that long ago.
The idea that there's a possibility that there was going to be the Pokemon game with Mewtwo, but never a Mew.
Yeah, I always like that theory as well. We're going to put Mew 3 in. It's like, that's what they should have called its Mega Evolution.
Mew 3.
Mew cubed.
Like, Mew. Can you imagine if Mega Mewtwo came out, but it wasn't Mega Mewtwo, it's just Mew?
That's what I want. I want him Mew cubed. Like I said, I want him Mewed. Bring it in. Make it square.
And obviously, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did introduce some Mega Pokemon cards. And
they did.
Yeah, it's one of those of like, I do see, as much as going back and playing the 3DS versions, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, do highlight some issues with the original game. Like, for example, the reliance on HMs.
Yeah, it's like, so that which comes... That's like, what, the most infamous review, according to people who are fucking idiots and don't know how to read?
And it's one of those weird things of, like, we're doing the podcast, knowing that we've had this discussion in a video that we've recently recorded, but isn't
but it makes sense to have it again,
so
right?
It doesn't make sense to get into details about it, but, like,
those we talk about it later this week
do bring and highlight up, like, a lot of problems with Gen 3 and remind you as an adult, like, oh yeah, they weren't perfect games. Like, the too much water thing is like a legitimate criticism when you actually look at the review properly and read
100% legitimate criticism, yeah. And only idiots say it's not because they didn't read the review.
Yeah, like, that is a funny bullet point to make a funny screenshot out of, and I know why the meme exists, but it's a legitimate criticism that is a problem with the game. And when you break it down, it all actually does hold up and make sense and is a fair argument.
There is too much water in that game.
I mean,
there's too much.
There is, and it's not like you say the TM bitch, the HM bitch, like, on every team. Some of the games, including Gen 3, like, require 2 of them, at least on your team. You had to have, like, 2 Pokemon basically entirely dedicated to being useless and just learning HMs.
And only being used for traversal.
Yes, and then, you know, there's other problems as well alongside that, but again, it's all that weird thing of, we've recently just recorded a video where we talk about that, but that video is not going to be out for a couple of weeks, maybe. So you can get a better breakdown.
The channel, yeah. Just keep checking the channel and you'll see it.
Yeah, keep an eye out on every single video, and eventually you'll have this discussion broke down a little bit further.
Well, I get so mad.
But yeah, it's a legitimate criticism, but I did like the fact that, yeah, Gen 6 introduced Mega Evolutions, and I think it was probably it was a very imbalanced system, and it was frustrating that there were only, like, by the end of Gen 6, like, 50-something Mega Evolutions, and they're bringing it back, we think, with, like, the new Legends game coming out next year.
Why did Mewtwo get one? Why did Mewtwo get 2?
Why did Mewtwo and Charizard get 2? And it's because they're essentially, like, the edgy Gen 1ers, like, favourite Pokemon, right?
Here's one then. What Pokemon should have got a Mega Evolution? Because Mega Evolution, it should have been used on underutilized or non-viable competitive Pokemon to give an edge, like it was with, like, Beedrill.
Like, Pokemon like Beedrill, Kangaskhan, Pinsir, Mawile, Banner, things like that, I think, like, legitimate good cases for Mega Pokemon, and some of them were imbalanced. Like, Mega Mawile was an absolute beast. Like, just, it was. And same with, like, Medicham. Who would have thought, like, a Medicham and a Mawile were going to become, like, actual problems to deal with?
But then they just said, fuck it though, we're also going to give it to, like, Mewtwo and Blaziken, which is already one of the fucking strongest Pokemon they ever made.
That's the problem, is when they start being like, well, yeah, but, like, some of the strongest Pokemon ever, like Mewtwo and Salamence, they deserve Mega Pokemon, right? Like, no, that shouldn't be the point, is that we should be giving it to the Pokemon that need that bump rather than Pokemon that don't.
That's the thing. So which ones do you think should have been given, like, the Beedrill treatment? Because I just like the idea. It's like, how do you make Beedrill a Mega Pokemon? Give it more. More what? More Beedrill. It should be more.
Give it more stingers, just everywhere.
I always thought you should have a second B.
Oh man,
just 2 Bs.
You can't do that because we saw that Mega Kangaskhan was a bad idea, Carl.
I still can't believe they thought that ability was okay. So Mega Kangaskhan's ability was Parental Bond, and it's still the most god tier animation if it pulls the baby out of the pouch.
Oh yeah, like Mega Kangaskhan, for anyone that doesn't remember or know. So Kangaskhan's basically a kangaroo type Pokemon, and it had a baby in its pouch. And to Mega Evolve, all it did was the baby aged up a little bit and got pulled out of the pouch for battle. It's like, you're ready.
Which is a fantastic animation, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did is its ability was Parental Bond. So every move it did twice with the second move at 30% power.
I think originally it was
the
like
second
50%.
move at 30% power. It was 50 initially, yeah. But that second use also carried with it all the same abilities and secondary effects as the original moves. So something like Body Slam, which is a very good move with a 30% chance to paralyze. And it's like, I think it's like 80 base power, but when you've got like a Kangaskhan using it, it gets stabbed, so it's like base 140. Now it hits twice at 50% power, so it's basically a base 200 move, which is stronger than Hyper Beam with a 60% chance to paralyze.
And I think, like, thing for example as well, like Power Up Punch.
Power Up Punch, which is power it up.
It raises your attack when you use it, but it's a weak move. But then when Mega Kangaskhan use it, it becomes like a move that instead of like 40 power, you've got 1 point times 5 that, because you get 50% on the second hit. So it becomes like a relatively useful hit in attack. And the second hit takes 2 times.
Both times. And the second hit gets the benefit of the attack boost. And it's like, this was not okay. This was not okay. You shouldn't have done this.
However, it
was very funny
for like fun and interesting changes in the system, where I would have loved it if instead of getting like the new gimmicks like the Z move and the Dynamax and the terrestrialization, which terrestrializing I think is a bit better than the two prior to it, but
it just looks a bit silly, yeah, but it's still fun.
It looks a bit silly, but it's a bit better balanced and a bit more fun, and every Pokemon can use it. Like, that's the thing, is it would have been really fun if instead of a new gimmick every time, it was, well, here's 30 new Mega Pokemon every release. And rather than it being like, well, we basically only got 30 Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, it just, no, that becomes a new Mega Pokedex alongside the Pokedex that grows over time.
They could have done, but they decided not to.
And hopefully we get a few new fun Mega Evolutions. Like, where's my Mega Charger bug?
Mega Chat.
It becomes a double-decker bus, Carl.
Give me Mega Butterfree.
Yeah, because they did like Galarian Butterfree, and some of the Gigantamax forms were Pokemon that I thought should have gotten Megas, like, for example, Butterfree, Lapras, Snorlax, Kingler. They all had really good Gigantamax forms, and they could have basically just been their Mega forms.
I wanted Mega Kingler as well, and I wanted like the claw to get even bigger.
Yeah, just a giant claw. Like, it should have just become. You know how Paris gets taken over by the mushroom to become Paris?
By the mushroom, yeah.
It should have become like claw with crab on the end of it.
Or the claw should have thrown the claw. Do you like when Mega Kangaskhan pulls the baby out? He should pull the claw off. And
I thought you were just going to say it just becomes sentient claw.
It just gets 2 claws then. It's like it becomes Mr. Krabs. It's big, meaty claws.
Yeah,
that's the shit I wanted.
And it always, like, kind of not upset me, but it kind of felt a bit hollow with Mega Pokemon, where certain generations basically got none of them. Like, Gen 2 basically got fucking ignored. Like, there was a couple, but it was pretty much just like, absolutely.
Where's Mega Unknown when it's the entire alphabet? And when it like KOs you, it just spells out "fuck you." Where's that Pokemon?
Just, it would have been great Candace, because there's Pokemon that just are in Gen 2 that are like single stage evolutions that got completely forgotten about, like Sudowoodo.
I want Mega Sudowoodo.
Like, the Sudowoodo would have been a great Mega Evolution.
Becomes the Great Oak.
Yeah. But it becomes like a giant fake tree.
Yeah.
It just fakes being a giant oak tree. It should have like cardboard cutouts to make it look like a bigger tree. That's all it should be.
Sudowoodo. It's like, just, I want all of them.
But
everything should get a Mega. Especially the worse the Pokemon, the more it should get one.
Yeah, exactly. And it really felt geared towards like, we'll get all the Gen 1ers back and make most of the Mega Evolution Pokemon just Gen 1 Pokemon. And because we're doing Gen 3 remakes, we'll also add a load of Gen 3 Mega Pokemon in there. And yeah, it was a great system that like I wish they would have just kept with and
refined
over time rather than gone to like a new.
Stop giving it to the legendary Pokemon. They don't need it. They're legendary.
And one thing that I do want to know
is
the
tell
audio.
Me.
I want to just read about the audio for 1 second.
Well, you don't really listen to like the audio of like Omega or Ruby and Sapphire. You experience it. Just those thumping trumpets. The thumpets.
It says under audio, the audio of Ruby and Sapphire consists entirely of game music and sound effects. All dialogue is on screen. The music, the bangers, composed by Junichi Masuda, Go Ichinose, and Morikazu Aoki, is completely instrumental except for 2 tracks with vocals.
There are vocal tracks in that game?
Yeah, apparently Trickmaster and Slatepore City contain vocals, which I was not aware of.
I never heard those, no.
No, not at all. And
I'm not familiar with those, but I just remember the trumpets. I remember the fucking trumpets.
That's one thing that after it talks about like, the game's release and charting and stuff. The soundtrack is noted for its heavy use of trumpets, also makes use of French horns, strings, ensembles, and even pianos. And it went from like this little chiptune music of like Gen 1 and 2, great music.
Yep.
Badass chiptune
Absolutely
soundtrack.
Fantastic.
But do you turn on that Game Boy Advance and put in Pokemon for the first time, and the trumpets are out, and you're like, what is going on?
Why are there trumpets coming out like these teeny little tiny tinny speakers?
The most tinny speakers, just like the trumpets just blaring out, and it's like, oh my god.
I'm ready. I'm ready to play some fucking Pokemon. Let's go. Like they had no reason to go as hard as they did on that soundtrack, and I'm glad that they did.
It really, I think, elevated Pokemon's soundtrack from Gen 2 to Gen 3, and obviously they had a brand new console to do that with, and awful tinny speakers, but still, that soundtrack hits so hard, and even to this day, it's memed upon of like just bringing in the fucking trumpets.
Because the trumpets were just so loud. So what do you do? What do you do when the trumpets happen?
And I wonder if I click on Pokemon Emerald, if it has like any noticeable changes. Because obviously, like a lot of Pokemon games at the time, until like Gen 5 started changing it up, they always had like a third version, which always added some different changes and stuff. Like Pokemon Yellow changed to be more like the story of Ash and the Pikachu going alongside like Team Rocket in the anime and stuff. But yeah, it does just say here that the game was generally received positive upon release. Praise was given to the addition of the Battle Frontier and fixing story elements. I guess was all you really needed for Emerald and letting you catch Rayquaza.
Just give me more. Could you not catch Rayquaza in the original?
You must have been able to, but maybe there was.
I remember having one. I never had Emerald.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think in Emerald,
speaking of Megas,
that you could catch all 3, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Like speaking of like Megas, remember where Rayquaza got a Mega?
Oh, and the primal versions of Kyogre and Primal.
They feel great. As well. They needed it though, Lucas. It's only one of the strongest Pokemon to have ever existed. It needed to get
the strongest
stronger.
Pokemon up until that point got 3 extra forms to make them even more brokenly powerful.
I was waiting to say fuck it, Mega Arceus. Like, fuck it,
Mega Arceus
God
probably isn't as strong as Primal Kyogre would be.
It's like just God 2.
But like,
done.
I feel like Primal Kyogre could beat up God 2.
Probably.
Mega God.
To be fair, Rattata can kill like God.
That's the thing, is even as bullshit as Pokemon has got now, competitively, I wonder whether even all the bollocks with like Urshifu and Terastallization and Terrapagos and Calyrex forms and Fluttermane and stuff. I wonder how all that jazz would put up with just like Mega Rayquaza and Primal Kyogre.
Not much, but I also think as well, what do they do to a Rattata? Because So I always like there's always been this humbling element in the Pokemon of like, you might be tough, but a rat might take you down.
There is still
and that rat might fuck your ankles up. Like a level 1 Rattata can still take half your health off with one Super Fang.
Well, a Pokemon that's not prepared for the tactic can still get taken down immediately by a level 1.
Absolutely, yes. Unstoppable.
It's like, I mean, it can be prepared for and stop, but yeah, if you haven't got a priority move, if you're not the right typing, like most Pokemon at level 100 can still be taken down by a level 1 Rattata.
Level 1 Rattata, and I love that happens.
And there's even better ones where like you use Aaron and you can reset it with like the berries and
berry
stuff.
Juice.
It's like, yeah,
berry juice and refresh. Level 1 Dusclops with Pain Split.
There's like multiple ways that level 1 Pokemon can still fuck you.
Yep, and it always cracks me up. Like the Fear Rattata is still one of the funniest fucking things to see. When someone pulls it off, it's like you can't help but smile. It's like, yeah, that rat was fucking. It was out for some blood.
And I think
that's the rat that started the Black Death right there.
That is one really sad part about like the fact that there's no real like singles in the VGC Cup tournaments and stuff.
I would love to see that shit.
In doubles, that kind of stuff, the gimmicky stuff, is like quite easy to shut down. Whereas like in singles, that's where it thrives. But we don't have that in tournaments. Like we're never gonna get a tournament where we see someone just bring the Fear Rattata.
Just Fear Rattata is so good as well. It's just the idea of fuck you, this rat wants some. Because like when you match up with someone and they've just got 6 level 1 Rattatas, and you're like, oh no. And you know you're gonna lose, but you still try. Like, I love those clips of people losing to it, and they just keep I keep spamming like Dragon Ascent with Rayquaza. Why is it not killing this Rattata? And the Rattata's like, Focus Sash, baby.
Get wrecked.
And it's always, well, those people who lose to it always complain. It's like, you're the one spamming 6 legendaries. Learn to play the game, dipshit. Rattata is the ultimate unifying force.
Oh dear, but I guess that's a good place to end this podcast. It's just the fear.
The fear. That's the thing, Rattata will always be ready. He will always enforce his will. Balance must be achieved. So all I think is like the Rattata looks like Thanos. Of just like balance will be achieved. It will be enforced.
The thing is though, it's like I imagine the Fear Rattata trainer with like the Infinity Gauntlet and 6 like tiny little Rattatas put
6 Rattatas in the glove, yeah. It's just 6 Rattatas in the gauntlet. It's gonna be great.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Wiki Weekdays podcast. Just, once again, you feel like we've earned it, give us a like, subscribe, comment your favourite stuff of the episode, all that jazz, and let us know what your favourite Mega Pokemon is. Or just, if you don't have a favourite Mega Pokemon, let us know which Pokemon you wanted to have a Mega Pokemon.
Yeah, like, all of them.
All of them. Apart from fucking Mega Rayquaza.
The legendaries. They're already legendary.
Why do you need to make a legendary more legendary?
The only thing legendary is like my lack of interest.
God. Well, thank you everyone for joining.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.